I woke up at 5:30 that Sunday morning like I always did, even though I didn't have to be at Morrison's Hardware until noon. Old habits. 47 years at the Goodyear plant had wired my body to wake before dawn, and retirement hadn't changed that. I sat at my kitchen table, the same Formica table where Brittany had done her homework for 12 years, and watched the Oklahoma sky turn from black to deep purple through the window over the sink. My phone sat face down next to my coffee mug. I hadn't looked at it since we'd gotten home from the graduation party 8 hours ago. The drive back had been torture. 23 minutes of silence except for the sound of her thumbs tapping her screen, that little click, click, click she never turned off. I'd tried 3 times to start a conversation. That was a nice speech your dean gave. Nothing. Your friend Kayla seems sweet. Nothing. You hungry? We could stop at Brown's. She'd just sighed like I was bothering her and turned toward the window. I took a sip of coffee. Black, no sugar, the way I'd learned to drink it when money got tight and luxuries disappeared, and finally flipped the phone over. 47 text messages, all from Brittany. They'd started at 6:14 a.m. Dad, where are you? Dad, why isn't my card working? I'm at Target and it's so embarrassing people are staring. Dad, answer me. I scrolled through them slowly, my chest getting tighter with each one. The messages got more frantic, more entitled, more convinced that I'd made some kind of mistake. It never occurred to her, not once in 47 messages, that I might have done it on purpose, that maybe I had a reason. At 7:32 a.m., she'd tried a different approach. Okay, I'm sorry if I did something wrong. Can you please unblock it? I need to get gas, Dad. I have things to do today. I set the phone down and looked around my kitchen. The ceiling had a water stain in the corner that I'd been meaning to fix for 2 years. The linoleum was cracking near the stove. The refrigerator made a rattling sound that probably meant the compressor was dying. I'd lived in this house for 34 years, and it was falling apart around me the same way my body was. Slowly, inevitably, one small failure at a time. Brittany didn't know that I'd taken out a second mortgage to pay her last 2 years of tuition at Oklahoma State. She didn't know that I'd cashed in my life insurance policy, the one that was supposed to cover my funeral, to buy her that used Honda Civic she complained about because it wasn't new enough. She didn't know that I ate mostly canned soup and day-old bread from the discount rack so there'd be money in the account for her emergencies. The old man who takes care of me. She'd said it 7 times last night. I'd counted. The first time was when we walked into the reception hall at the University Center. Her sorority sisters were clustered near the gift table, all of them in sundresses that probably cost more than my weekly paycheck. Brittany had rushed over to them, her heels clicking on the tile floor, and I'd followed behind carrying her graduation gift, a leather portfolio I'd saved 3 months to buy. "Oh my God, you guys, this is my dad," she'd said, barely glancing back at me. Then she'd laughed, that high-pitched laugh she used around her friends. Well, technically, I call him the old man who takes care of me. They'd all giggled. One of them, a blonde girl named Chelsea or Courtney or something, had looked me up and down and smiled in this pitying way that made me feel like I was something Brittany had dragged in on her shoe. I'd stood there in my 20-year-old suit holding that portfolio and felt myself disappear. The second time was at dinner. They'd set up round tables with white tablecloths, and I'd been seated with Brittany and 5 of her friends. The conversation swirled around me. Internships in Dallas, somebody's beach house in Destin, grad school applications. I tried to join in once, mentioning that my brother Donald used to live in Dallas, but Brittany had cut me off mid-sentence. "Anyway," she'd said loudly, "my point is that I'm so ready to start my real life, you know? No more depending on the old man who takes care of me." More laughter. One of the girls, I think her name was Andrea, had leaned toward me and said, "It must be nice having her home though, right?" I'd opened my mouth to say that Brittany hadn't lived at home since freshman year, that she'd insisted on getting an apartment near campus, even though it cost twice as much as the dorms. But Brittany had jumped in again. "Oh, he doesn't mind. He likes having someone to take care of. Gives him purpose." She'd said it like I was a golden retriever who needed a job to feel useful. By the third time, when she was showing off her diploma to some guy named Travis or Trevor who kept touching her lower back in a way that made my jaw clench, I'd stopped correcting her. I'd just stood in the corner by the punch bowl, watching my daughter perform for these people who didn't know her, who didn't know that she used to make me Father's Day cards out of construction paper, who didn't know that she'd cried in my arms for 3 hours the night before her first day of high school because she missed her mother. At 8:15 a.m., my phone buzzed again. This time it was a call, not a text. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Dad, oh my God, finally. Her voice was sharp, breathless. What is going on? My card isn't working, and I have like a million things I need to do today. Morning, Brittany, I said quietly. Yeah, morning, whatever. Did you not pay the bill or something? Because I'm literally standing in Target and I blocked the card. Silence. Long enough that I thought the call had dropped. You... What? I called the bank yesterday and had them block it. It's not active anymore. Why would you... Dad, that's my card. I need that. It's my card, I said, keeping my voice steady. It's my account. I added you as an authorized user for emergencies. Okay, well, this is an emergency. I need to buy stuff. I closed my eyes. What stuff? Just... stuff. Things for my apartment, groceries, gas, normal things. You have a job, don't you? At that marketing firm in Broken Arrow? I start in 2 weeks, Dad. I don't get paid until the end of the month. What am I supposed to do until then? I took a long breath, feeling the weight of this conversation settling over me like a heavy coat. I gave you $3,000 as a graduation gift. That was supposed to hold you over. That was for getting started, deposits and stuff. Deposits on what? On my apartment, and I had to buy work clothes, and look, I don't have time for this. Can you please just unblock the card? We can talk about this later. No. Another silence. Shorter this time, but sharper. Excuse me? I said no, Brittany. Dad. Her voice shifted, got that dangerous quiet that I recognized from her teenage years. You're being ridiculous, just unblock it. I'm not going to do that. Why not? The question hung there between us. I could hear store sounds in the background on her end, someone making an announcement over an intercom, the beep of a cash register. I thought about all the answers I could give her. Because you're 22 years old and you need to learn to support yourself. Because I'm 75 and I'm tired and my back hurts and I can't keep working just to fund your lifestyle. Because last night you made me feel smaller than I've ever felt in my life. But what I said was, because I think it's time. Time for what? For you to stand on your own. She laughed. Actually laughed. Are you serious right now? You're cutting me off? Like completely? I'm not cutting you off. Oh my God, you are. You're actually doing this. Her voice was rising now, getting shrill. People in Target were definitely hearing this. What am I supposed to do, Dad, huh? You want me to starve? You're not going to starve. You have a job starting in 2 weeks. What about between now and then? You'll figure it out, I said. You're smart, you're capable. You just graduated with honors. I can't believe this. Did something happen? Is this about last night? My hand tightened around the phone. Why would it be about last night? I don't know. You've been weird since we left. Did I do something wrong? I could have told her then. Could have explained how each casual dismissal had felt like a small death. How I'd driven home barely able to see the road through the blur in my eyes. But something stopped me. Maybe pride. Maybe the sense that if she didn't already know, telling her wouldn't change anything. This is about you learning to be independent, I said. I am independent. Are you? Yes, I have my own apartment, my own life, my own... that I pay for. She went quiet again. The apartment is in my name, I continued, my voice still calm but firmer now. The utilities are on my card, the car insurance, your phone bill, your Netflix and Spotify and whatever else. I looked at the statement last month, Brittany. You spent $1,800. On necessary things. $300 at Sephora is necessary? I needed, God, you don't understand. I needed interview makeup and professional hair products and $140 at some restaurant called The Vault? That was a networking dinner. It's called investing in your career, Dad. You wouldn't understand. The words hit me like a slap. You wouldn't understand. Me, who'd worked 60-hour weeks for 18 years, who'd turned down promotions because they required relocation and I wouldn't move Brittany away from her friends, who'd eaten peanut butter sandwiches for dinner so she could have steak. Maybe you're right, I said quietly. Maybe I don't understand spending $140 on dinner when there are people who make that last a week. Oh my God, here we go. The poverty speech. I know you worked hard, Dad. You remind me every single... I never remind you. You do it with your eyes, with your disappointed face, like I'm supposed to feel guilty for wanting nice things. I don't want you to feel guilty, I said, and I realized I meant it. I want you to understand what things cost, what they're worth. I understand perfectly, and you know what? Fine, keep the card blocked. I'll figure it out myself. I don't need you. The call ended. She didn't say goodbye. I sat there at my kitchen table, staring at the phone screen, watching it fade to black. Outside, the sun had fully risen now, turning the sky that bright Oklahoma blue that my wife had loved. Sharon used to say that heaven must look like an Oklahoma summer morning. I wondered what she'd think of all this. Of me, sitting here at 75, having just cut off our daughter. Of Brittany, grown into a woman Sharon would barely recognize. The first 3 days were the hardest. Brittany called 41 times. I counted. I didn't answer most of them, but when I did, the conversations followed the same pattern. She'd start with anger, shift to bargaining, then collapse into tears. On Tuesday morning, she left a voicemail that was just crying, no words, just broken sobs that lasted 2 minutes and 37 seconds. I listened to it 3 times, my hand hovering over the callback button, my throat tight, but I didn't call back. On Wednesday, Donald called me from Phoenix. "What's going on with Brittany?" he asked, no preamble. "She called you?" "She's been messaging Patricia." Patricia was his wife. "Says you've abandoned her, cut her off completely, left her to starve." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "She tell Patricia about her new job, the one that starts Monday and pays $58,000 a year?" "She mentioned she's between paychecks." "Between paychecks, that's good." I was standing in my kitchen again, looking out at the backyard where I'd taught Brittany to ride a bike, where she'd had her 8th birthday party, where Sharon and I had slow danced one 4th of July while Brittany chased lightning bugs. "Donald, did your kids ever call you the old man who takes care of things?" Silence on the other end. Then, "What happened?" So I told him, all of it. The graduation party, the introductions, the casual cruelty that she probably didn't even recognize as cruelty, the credit card, the blocked calls, the text that said she hated me. When I finished, Donald was quiet for a long time. "You did the right thing," he finally said. "Did I?" "Derek, listen to me. When Patricia and I were raising our 3, there were times we had to let them fall, had to watch them struggle. It's the hardest thing a parent does, but it's necessary. She thinks I don't love her. She thinks that now, she won't think it forever." "How do you know?" "Because you're not actually abandoning her. You're teaching her. There's a difference." After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table and did something I hadn't done in years. I pulled out the old photo albums from the hall closet, the ones I'd been meaning to digitize but never got around to. Page after page of Brittany growing up. First day of kindergarten in a purple dress Sharon had made, missing front teeth. Middle school orchestra concert where she played violin. Homecoming sophomore year with some boy named Cody who'd lasted 3 weeks. Her high school graduation where she'd hugged me so tight I could barely breathe and whispered, "Thank you for everything, Daddy." When had I stopped being Daddy and become the old man? Thursday afternoon, I was at Morrison's restocking the electrical aisle when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Mr. Henderson?" A woman's voice, professional, speaking. "This is Natalie from First Community Bank. I'm calling about an overdraft situation on your daughter's checking account." My stomach dropped. "What overdraft?" "Ms. Brittany Henderson has insufficient funds to cover several pending transactions. The account is jointly held with you as co-signer, so you're liable for how much? Currently, $347 in the negative, plus $35 in fees per transaction. That's 4 transactions, so I'll take care of it," I said, closing my eyes. I transferred $500 that afternoon. Then I called Brittany. She answered on the first ring. "Dad, you overdrafted your checking account." "I know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought I had more and..." "What did you buy?" "Just groceries and gas, and I had to pay my electric deposit because they were going to shut off the power in my apartment." I sat down on the step stool in aisle 7, suddenly exhausted. "Brittany, you got $3,000 2 weeks ago. Where did it go?" "I told you, deposits, first month, last month security deposit. That was $2,400 right there. And then I had to buy furniture because the apartment was empty and..." "What furniture?" "A couch and a bed frame and dishes and stuff from Target." "How much?" "I don't know exactly. Maybe $600? But I needed those things, Dad. I can't sleep on the floor." I thought about my first apartment in 1973, how I'd slept on a mattress on the floor for 8 months until I could afford a frame from the Salvation Army. How Sharon and I had eaten on mismatched plates from garage sales. How we'd thought we were rich when we finally bought a used couch for $40. Your job starts Monday, I said. I know. You'll get your first paycheck in 2 weeks. I know, but Dad, 2 weeks is... I covered your overdraft, $500, that's it. That's the last money you get from me until you can stand on your own 2 feet. But what if... Figure it out, Brittany. I hung up before she could argue. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about her in that apartment with no food, wondering if I was being strong or just cruel. At 2 in the morning, I drove to the 24-hour Walmart and bought $200 worth of groceries. Basic stuff, rice and beans and pasta and canned vegetables, bread and peanut butter, eggs and cheese. The cashier was a young girl, maybe 19, with a name tag that said Jasmine. "Stocking up?" she asked, trying to make conversation. Something like that. I drove to Brittany's apartment complex, a newer development in Broken Arrow with a pool and a fitness center that probably added $200 to the rent. Her building was dark except for one window on the second floor, Unit 214. I'd helped her move in 3 months ago, carried boxes up those stairs until my back screamed. I left the groceries outside her door at 3 a.m., bags arranged neatly on her welcome mat, a mat that said "Good Vibes Only," that had cost $39 at Home Goods. Then I drove home and lay in bed watching the ceiling fan spin until the sun came up. She didn't call to say thank you. Didn't even text. I told myself I hadn't expected her to, but that was a lie. Friday was my day off from Morrison's. I spent it fixing the water stain on my kitchen ceiling, replacing the cracked linoleum, tightening loose cabinet hinges, physical work that kept my hands busy and my mind quiet. Around noon, I took a break and made myself a sandwich, the last of the roast beef I'd bought on sale 3 days ago. My phone buzzed. Not Brittany. A text from Melissa, Donald's middle daughter, my niece. "Uncle Derek, Dad told me what happened. Just wanted to say I think you're being really brave." When I was 22, I was a total brat, and my parents cutting me off was the best thing that ever happened to me. Brittany will understand eventually. Love you. I read it 4 times, feeling something loosen in my chest. Maybe I wasn't crazy. Maybe this wasn't cruelty. Maybe this was love. Saturday morning, Brittany called at 7:15. "Dad." Her voice was different, steadier. "Can I come over? I want to talk." "All right." She arrived at 8:30 in the Honda Civic I'd bought her, the one she'd complained wasn't new enough. She looked tired, hair in a messy bun, no makeup, wearing sweatpants, and an old OSU t-shirt I recognized from her sophomore year. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd had 1,000 meals, where I'd helped her with algebra homework and college applications, where she'd told me she'd gotten into Oklahoma State and we'd both cried happy tears. "I found the groceries," she said. "Okay." "That was you?" I nodded, her eyes filled with tears. When I saw them, I thought maybe you still cared. I never stopped caring. "Then why are you doing this to me?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw Sharon's eyes staring back at me, Sharon's stubborn chin, Sharon's way of tucking her hair behind her ear when she was upset. "You know what your mother used to say?" I asked. Brittany shook her head. "She used to say that the hardest part of loving someone is knowing when to hold on and when to let go." "I don't understand." "I've been holding on too tight, Brittany. For 22 years I've been so afraid of losing you, of failing you the way I couldn't save your mother, that I never let you struggle, never let you fall, never let you learn that you're strong enough to catch yourself. But I'm not strong enough. I can't." "Yes, you can. You graduated summa cum laude. You got a job at a competitive firm. You're smart and capable and resourceful, but you've never had to be those things because I've always been there to catch you before you fell." She was crying now, really crying, the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep. "I'm scared. I know. What if I fail? Then you fail, and then you get back up. That's life, honey. But you won't be there." I reached across the table and took her hand. Her small hand that used to fit entirely inside mine when she was little. "I'll always be here. But I can't be your safety net anymore. I can't be the answer to every problem. I'm 75 years old, Brittany. I won't be around forever." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "I need to know," I continued, my voice rough, "that when I'm gone, you can take care of yourself, that you won't fall apart, that all these years, All this sacrifice taught you something about survival, about resilience, about the value of $1 and the cost of everything. The things I said at graduation, she whispered. About the old man, I didn't know how much I was hurting you. I know. Why didn't you say something? Would you have heard me? She looked down at our joined hands. Probably not. We sat in silence for a while. Outside, a lawnmower started up. Saturday morning sounds. Normal life continuing around us while we tried to figure out how to be father and daughter again. I start work Monday, she finally said. I know. And I get paid in 2 weeks. I know. So I just figure out how to survive until then? Yes. What if I can't? You have groceries, you have a car with a full tank. I saw you pull up. You have a job starting Monday. You can do this. She pulled her hand away, wiped her eyes. You really won't help me. Not with money. Not right now. Then with what? I stood up, walked to the junk drawer, the one that had accumulated 18 years of random items, and pulled out a worn notebook, Sharon's recipe book, handwritten in her careful script. Your mother, I said, setting it in front of Brittany, could make a week's worth of meals for $12. Every recipe in here is cheap, filling, and simple. She kept us fed through some very lean years. Brittany touched the cover like it might burn her. I don't know how to cook. Then you'll learn. There's a lot you're going to learn in the next 2 weeks. I walked her to the door 20 minutes later. Before she left, she turned back. Dad, at the graduation party, I was embarrassed. Of what? Of being poor. Everyone else's parents were wearing expensive clothes and talking about their vacation homes and their investment portfolios. And you showed up in that old suit talking about your brother in Phoenix and your job at a hardware store, and I wanted to be like them. I wanted people to think I came from money. The honesty of it gutted me. We're not poor, I said quietly. We just have different priorities. I prioritized you, your education, your future. Those girls with the vacation homes, maybe their parents prioritized other things. I know that now. Do you? She nodded, fresh tears spilling over. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I forgive you, I said, and I meant it. Now go figure out how to survive 2 weeks on no money. Consider it your first real adult challenge. She laughed through her tears. You're kind of mean, you know that? I'm kind of loving you the best way I know how. She hugged me then, tight and fierce, the way she used to when she was little and scared of thunderstorms. I held her and felt the weight of 22 years pressing down on both of us. All the sacrifices and struggles, the joys and losses, the ways we'd built each other up and torn each other down. When she pulled away, I said, one more thing. Yeah? I'm not the old man who takes care of you. I'm your father, and that matters. I know, Dad. I know. I watched her drive away in the Honda Civic, Sharon's recipe book on the passenger seat, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The next 2 weeks were quiet. Brittany didn't call asking for money, didn't text with emergencies. I worked my shifts at Morrison's, fixed things around the house, had dinner with my neighbor Gary, a widower like me who understood the strange echoes of an empty home. On a Thursday evening, exactly 2 weeks after I'd blocked the credit card, Brittany called. Dad? Hey, honey. I got my first paycheck today. Yeah? How's it feel? Heavy. She laughed. Like, I know it's just a number on a screen, but it feels heavy, like it means something. It does mean something. I paid my electric bill and my internet, and I'm going to pay you back for the overdraft. You don't have to... Yes, I do. I'm paying you back. All of it. The overdraft, the groceries you left, everything. I felt my throat tighten. Okay. Dad? Thank you. For what? For not giving up on me. For being strong enough to let me struggle. For teaching me what I needed to learn. I closed my eyes, pressed my palm against them. You're welcome, baby girl. I made Mom's beef stew last night, from the recipe book. Yeah? How'd it turn out? Honestly? Pretty terrible. I burned the bottom and forgot to add salt, but I ate it anyway because I made it myself and I was proud of it. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in weeks. Your mother burned that stew the first 5 times she made it. Really? Really. By the sixth time she had it perfect. She'd be proud of you. You think? I know. We talked for another 20 minutes about nothing important. Her first week at work, a funny thing her coworker Amanda had said, the weather. Normal conversation, easy conversation, the kind we hadn't had in years. When we hung up, I sat in my brown leather chair and looked around my small house with its water-stained ceiling and cracked linoleum and rattling refrigerator, and I felt rich. 3 months later, Brittany invited me to her apartment for dinner. She'd furnished it slowly, carefully, a couch from Facebook Marketplace, a kitchen table from a garage sale, dishes from the thrift store. It looked like a home built by someone learning the value of things. She made pot roast. She didn't burn it. We ate together, and she told me about her promotion at work, about the money she was saving, about her plans to start paying down her student loans early. "I'm proud of you," I said. She smiled. Sharon's smile, the one that lit up a room. "I'm proud of me, too." As I was leaving that night, she walked me to my truck. "Dad, I want you to know something." "What's that?" "You're not the old man who takes care of me." She took my hand. "You're the man who taught me to take care of myself, and that's the best gift anyone's ever given me." I drove home through Tulsa's quiet streets with tears running down my face. Not sad tears this time, but something else. Something like joy. Something like peace. Sharon's voice came to me as clearly as if she were sitting in the passenger seat. "You did good, Derek. You did real good." Maybe I had. Maybe letting go was just another form of holding on. Maybe the truest kind of love is the kind that's strong enough to step back and let someone find their own way. I didn't know much anymore. I was 75 years old, my back hurt, my knees cracked, my hair was white as Oklahoma snow. But I knew this. My daughter knew how to stand on her own 2 feet.